Hey mi gente, it's Julian Steve. You already know my name, but if you're new here, hey. Today we're going to be talking about black men and femininity. Yes, we're going to be talking about this. It's going to be mostly based on black men being feminine but being straight, and then it's going to be a bit of like intersections with people who are black men and queer as well. In the video, I'm going to be a bit more on the personal side as well. So get ready right now because it's going to get deep towards the end. Okay, mi gente? Okay, mi gente? Okay. We're going to start now. Gender is a social construct. Yes, gender is a social construct. I am going to read a bit from World Health Organization and then share my thoughts afterwards. Gender refers to the characteristics of women, men, girls, and boys that are socially constructed. This includes norms, behaviors, and roles associated with being a woman, man, girl, or boy, as well as relationships with each other. As a social construct, gender varies from society to society and can change over time. There is no right way to be your gender. The reason why I'm saying this is because there are certain people who believe that you have to follow certain rules to perform your gender correctly. Of course, there are certain people who want to perform their gender the right way or the way where they will want to be appreciated by the masses. That's awesome, but not everyone is going to perform their gender the way you want them to perform it. And there are numerous examples. Depending who you grew up with, you're going to perform your gender the way you're going to perform your gender. Depending who you associate with, you're going to perform your gender. These factors play into how you're going to perform your gender. And that's just a few examples. There are more, but we're starting small. Being feminine, like being masculine, is used against both genders. When I say both genders, I am specifically referring to male and female. Of course, intersex individuals have their own relationship to gender, but I'm focusing on the main genders. I do want to note this again. In this video, we're mainly focusing on black men. However, I do wanted to touch on that portion a bit because gender does affect everyone, and specifically gender roles. Gender roles affects everyone. Of course, some people know how to manage or have their own experiences where they do not really struggle with their gender identity or performing their gender identity the way most people want you to perform it. But then there are some people who struggle a bit with it, and then there are also people who just struggle completely or they have a different idea about gender. I just want to mention that now, just in case if you're wondering. For the past decades, there has been scrutiny against certain black male celebrities who perform masculinity in their own way. And in this video, I want to touch on 6 examples. And I'm not going to get too deep into each person. It's going to be glimpses in case you do not know who these people are or who these people were, and certain controversies between them performing masculinity. Hey, mi gente. I just wanted to say this before anyone misconstrued what I just said in this video. When I'm talking about celebrities, specifically black male celebrities being in relationships, I'm not saying that this. Why I am saying that this proves that they are straight and that they date women. That doesn't mean that I'm saying that just because a man, regardless of race, is single for a long time means that they are queer or whatever. That's not what I'm saying. But sadly, in the society we live in, it's normalized to make men being promiscuous and not having breaks while grieving or grieving. And as a person who's been single for quite some time, it's hard for me to pretend that this is not a thing because I know I'm not the only man who has been single for quite some time due to insecurities, financial issues, family issues, and so on. And I feel like we need to stop normalizing the idea that everyone has to be in a relationship quick or while they're in bad circumstances, because a celebrity is one thing and then us regular people are another thing. And that's why, in a way, it benefits these men being either married or having proof that they dated numerous women, because it doesn't question too much of their sexuality, but at the same time, why should that be proof to show that they straight? I know certain people would do that, but that's not me. That's not my style. If you know me, you know this is not my style. I'm just doing it because, one, this is the video topic, but two, it's important to show the previous relationships or current relationships that these men are in to prove a point and to show that they straight. Prince and Denise Rodman were accused of being too feminine during their time. Some even questioned their sexuality, yet they both were partnered with women. Also, Prince was a singer at one point, known as a sex symbol. Denise was a known basketball player in the 1980s through 2000s. Jaden Smith and Young Thug were accused of being too feminine during the mid-2010s. Some even questioned their sexuality, yet they both were partnered with women. I know Young Thug's in jail and in a relationship with Mariah the Scientist. As for Jaden Smith, I'm not sure, but I do know that he has a type of woman he dates. Another topic for another day. Young Thug is a rapper and has done illegal activities that would be considered as masculine, but him wearing a dress in the album cover strikes a nerve. Whereas Jaden Smith is an artist, actor, and model, he has said things in his works that would be considered as masculine, with the exception of him wearing a dress in between 2015 through 2016, modeling for women's wear, and portraying a queer character in The Get Down. Still doesn't change the fact that Jaden is straight. Finally, Russell Westbrook and Jonathan Majors. In 2021, Russell Westbrook was called out for wearing a dress. Mind you, this is a professional basketball player and he's married. He has children. Jonathan Majors is an actor. If you haven't been up to date, his acting career is not looking bright right now. Regardless, his portrayals are masculine for the most part. And when he shoots photos, he looks masculine too. Sure, there are exceptions to certain photos where people are calling him out, but he still presents himself as masculine, in my opinion. Also, he has a mixed race daughter and is currently in a relationship with Megan Good. Yet, certain people were accusing these two men of being feminine, like the other four men I've mentioned earlier in this video. Boxing black men in a box is not good, regardless of sexual orientation. Why am I mentioning this? There are certain black men who love to divide themselves between straight black men and queer black men. And this division thing doesn't benefit neither groups, because at the end of the day, most people who are not black box us into these boxes, into these very stereotypical boxes, and try to cause division when it comes to straight and queer black men. And it's really sad to see. It's really disgusting to see, honestly. I am going to read a bit from Valerie Oreen's article, and then I'm going to say my thoughts afterwards. The article states, the narratives that young black men use to describe themselves or behave makes a difference. This can be particularly difficult for young, gay, trans black men. Many people already judge black men without even knowing them, and they judge LGBTQ, gay, bisexual, trans, queer, and questioning individuals too. As I've stated earlier, regardless of your sexuality, you're judged. If you do not align with your gender role, sexuality, or both, you're judged. As a straight black man, I've been judged for the way I act, the way I dress, the way I talk, the way I walk. Yeah, it's been a roller coaster for the past 25 years, because I'm 25, and till this day, I've been questioned about my sexual orientation. This has been happening to me since elementary school to adulthood. You want to know the main demographics that were on my dick about these things? Straight black men, mixed with black men, and Latinos in general. Latinos in general were on top of me to the point where I always knew that I was not accepted by them. And this is regardless of race, of course, because we all know Latinos is an ethnicity. We all know this. Regardless of race, these Latinos were very, very, very homophobic, very anti-black when I was growing up. And even now that I'm 25, I'm not saying all Latinos are like this, obviously. I'm not saying that. I have different friends who are Latinos. I'm not going to pretend like everyone is bad, but from my experience, these experiences were on the hands of these people. I get it. I grew up with people who I guess were raised differently or had a different perspective of what is the proper way to perform masculinity, but it doesn't change the fact that these people were hyper masculinizing me as a child up to my adulthood, just because I'm a black man, I'm dark skinned. I guess what you would consider the ideal athlete, because I'm tall. to the point that these experiences made me very insecure about myself, made me be more cautious with who I bring into my circles, because I cannot be friends with people who are going to be judging me because of the way I am. I cannot change the way I am. I feel like certain people want me to like be something that I am not, and I cannot do that. And then I also feel like certain people try to judge me because I was raised with majority women, girls and women, because my cousins, when we were younger, they were girls, and my sisters. And that's not my fault. That's not my family's fault. Of course, it depends, because there were certain men in my family that I'm not going to go into too much detail, because I do not want to bash anyone who is related to me until I have no choice. But I'm going to be honest. The men in my family, they weren't there 100% of the time, and that did affect me in a way, of course. And also that's why I gravitate more towards women, and why I guess have feminine traits. And people try to, and I'm doing this because I'm not saying I don't, but I don't think I do entirely, because I just perform my own version of masculinity differently, and that's fine. And I feel like certain people do not think about that. You don't always need to be hyper masculine. You can be neutral in the middle, but people want people like me with a certain background to perform something that I'm not. It's really dehumanizing. And then when people try to question your sexual orientation a bunch of times, to the point that you feel so uncomfortable to talk to people about it, like share your stories, then I realized, why do I care so much about what these people think about me? Why do I want to impress these people so much? If these people do not want to be near people like me, that's totally fine. I do not want to be near people like you. But when you're young and naive, you think you gotta accept things the way they are. Or you feel like you're stuck because you're in a certain school, or you're in a certain group of friends, or you're in a certain job, because I've even went through this at my job. If you've seen a specific video, you kind of know the story that I'm not going to share in this video, but I've went through this at my own job. This type of stupidities is everywhere. And I'm at a point where now I'm just going to be extra conscious with who I associate with, who I try to be friendly with, or who I try to even get into a relationship with, because I cannot be uncomfortable where I'm at. After reading Malcolm Musani's 2016 article on Black men being stereotyped, I resonated with certain things that he said that got me emotional while reading it, and I want to read a bit of certain parts from the article right now. He states, young Black men are left out of the chance for one to be truly free in their own self-expression. We are forgotten, and our voices are silenced due to the social implications and pressures that led to us being hypermasculinized. If you don't abide by that idea of hypermasculinity, you're either labeled gay or accused of being white by your peers, parents, and society at large. Wow. So much to unpack from this one section. When it comes to my family, I was never judged about the way I act. Never. Do I get a bit of jokes here and there? Yes, but never to the point where somebody's calling me gay, queer, whatever, or calling me white. But outside of the house, yes. And like I said earlier in the video, most of the time it was from straight black men, mixed with black men, and Latinos in general. So from my experience, I always felt different. Mind you, I go to the same schools with these people. I interact with these people usually, not all the time, of course, because my mom had me and my sisters sheltered, where we hardly interact with certain people in our community or at school. But regardless, I interacted with these people because we grew up in proximity of each other, or we went to school with each other. The point is that it's based on the environment you're in, and it's kind of funny when you think about people trying to say that I act white, because certain people be trying to critique the way I speak English, which is another discussion for another day. It's just funny how at one moment you're acting white, you're acting gay or whatever, to the next moment you do not sound American, you do not sound proper, you do not articulate yourself better, all these stupid stuff. Certain people want perfection everywhere, and nobody's perfect. As long as you're not doing any wild things, I feel like you're fine. I'm not saying you're not able to correct people when they say certain things wrong or when they do certain things wrong. My issue is when you purposely do it to the point where you're just being plain ignorant, or you're thinking that you're better than someone. Yeah, there's so much I can say about what he just said here, but I'm not trying to ramble too much. I think I said what I had to say earlier, so I'm just gonna move on. I want to read one more section from Malcolm Musani's article. He states, "There is this one-dimensional idea of what a young black man is and what young black masculinity looks like. It's hyper-aggressive in motion and in fashion choices that most young black men don't fit into, but feel as if they have no choice. When we have imagery that sparks a positive and meaningful conversation, it helps push the unfair expectations and really expand and break the limitations of young black masculinity. It helps make it possible for me, a young black man, to comfortably wear what I want and have it to be accepted without any inquiries about my masculinity or sexuality." I agree with Malcolm Musani 100%. Straight black men and queer black men shouldn't be boxed into boxes. We deserve to perform what version of masculinity we want, regardless of what others think of us, even within the community or communities we're a part of. I do think that we as black men should be able to portray whatever version of masculinity we have, or even femininity. Yes, I'm going there. And the reason why I'm saying this is because there are certain people who think being a black man and feminine is bad. Depending who you are, it can be a bad thing. but it's not entirely bad because not everyone wants a hyper masculine man. Not everybody wants that, regardless of your sexual orientation. And I'm saying this because I feel like being feminine has been used in a negative way. Of course, I felt certain ways when people tried to call me feminine before. Yeah, even as an adult, which is wild, but here we are in 2024. But that's just how the society we live in. I'm not saying it has to be normalized that we have to go through these things living on this earth. You cannot give up being yourself just because of people. Find people who accept you for you, whether it's in your family, your friendships, or your relationships. Find people who accept you. Just don't be anti-black. Thank you so much if you made it this far in this video. I appreciate you. Be sure to like this video, comment, share, and subscribe. I really want to read a few of your messages, regardless of your gender. And I do want honest discussions and professional discussions. I do not want to see any stupidities in the comments, otherwise you're going to be blocked. Okay, mi gente. Okay, mi gente. Okay. Thank you and peace, mi gente.